Om Shanti. Welcome. Did you enjoy your tea with a yogi? Yes? Good conversations? Yeah. So now you have all the answers, right? Right? We know we have all the answers, so what's left? Just to do it, no? Just to do it, to stick with it. We have an opportunity here. Well, actually, you had your chance to ask questions. Now it's my turn. So, welcome, Shivani. Thank you for giving us this hour. I've had lots of input, but mostly, actually, after the morning meditation, questions have come into my mind, and I've checked some of them, and they seem generally representative. So I know it's meant to be a conversation, but I don't know if you have any questions, but I have lots of questions. So actually I have 8 of them, and I was aiming for some meta questions. And so shall I begin? First one, Nicholas from Mauritius was telling me over tea. He said, you know, the first few days here was like magic. And then Shivani arrived, and she gave us the spells. Isn't that beautiful? She gave us the spells. And others have said things like, wow, she makes it so simple and so practical. So, how does she do that? So I think for me, I've never met you before. This was my first time. And I found it breathtaking, the clarity with which you explain things. And I'm curious, have you always been like this? If you can tell us a little bit about your journey to arrive at this state of breathtaking clarity and simplicity.
Om Shanti. Like each one of you, around, I think 22 years back, I was sitting that side. And before that, my mother started coming for meditation sessions to the Brahma Kumaris. And you know, like typical parents would want the same for their children, she would start asking me to go to the center. And the more she asked me to go, the more I moved away, because no one can force me into doing anything, that typical. So I said, I'm not interested, I don't need it, life is perfect for me, academically, personally, socially, everything was perfect. So why do I need to do meditation? Because meditation is not the way it is today, more accepted. It was more one of the things few people do who had problems in their life, is what I believed. And I didn't have a problem in my life, so I didn't find the need to go to the center. But every week, she said every Thursday, every Sunday, she would make an effort. And every morning on Sunday, I already had my excuse ready why I didn't want to go today. Either it would be homework, either it would be my headache, my stomach ache, everything. I did everything possible not to come here. I tried very hard to move away from not coming here. And then, I don't know why, I just saw a lot of change in her actually. A lot of transformation from being a typical mother who gets worried for children, anxiety if they are late in that era of without phones, and very anxious if the child is going through something. And I suddenly, within a year or so, I found her very strong, very powerful, even stronger than everybody else in the house. And I knew she was getting something which was right. And then I said, okay, now I want to do this course. When she stopped asking me to do it, then I said, I want to now do this meditation course. And then when I came to the center, and like all of you were told in this 1 week, that God is teaching us here. And the sister who gave me the course, she said, God is directly giving this knowledge. And I just stared at her and I said, you mean to say specifically here, like this? She said, yes. I walked away. I said, I'm not coming back to this place. They say very strange things over here. And in fact, I went back and I told my father not to send my mother here because it's not a right place. So she said, I said, how can you talk like this? God is for everybody. You can't say he teaches here. It's not done like this. After 6 months, I again went back and I said, you prove it to me, then I will understand. She said, it can't be proved. I said, then I cannot understand. She said, you first accept it and start experimenting with it. I said, how can I experiment if I don't believe that it's there? So we were in this dilemma, whether to first experiment or whether to first have it proved, what to do. And then I remembered that as a science student, in maths we were taught that to begin with a belief, suppose A is equal to B. You write that first line, suppose A is equal to B, and then you go on proving it. And in the end, you will again come back to, yes, A is equal to B. So I had to put the first line as, suppose God is giving this knowledge. Now what do I have to do? So she said, okay, meditation every day and Murli class every morning, high vegetarian lifestyle. I said, I'll do only for 3 months. Can't live this kind of a lifestyle forever. She said, only 3 months. And then I really did that 3 months sincerely. I did it every single day, 3 months. Because God cannot be seen, cannot be proved. Soul cannot be seen, cannot be proved. Because anything that is not visible cannot be seen, cannot be proved. But it can be experienced. So then began a journey of studying and meditating. And it did not take 3 months actually. It was much sooner than that I could experience a very personal relationship of love and power from God, and also a self-change, self-transformation. So within, I think, 2 months or so, I said, A is equal to B. This is the place. And I started the journey. And then it was a daily Murli class, daily meditation. Then about 10 years or 8 years later, I was going to the studio for helping in creating programs for the Brahma Kumaris. And one day I was asked to sit on the chair to do the program. And I was very resistant because I don't find myself eligible for that. And I said, I don't know anything what has to be done in this program. I don't know what to share. I don't know what to speak. They said, no, you just sit. You just sit and surrender. So it was a very beautiful experience that, just like this, 2 chairs, and I sat here. The sister who was invited to do the interview, she came up to me and she said, what am I supposed to ask? I said, don't scare me anymore. I have no idea. Just sit. I have been told just sit and it will happen. So you also just sit and it will happen. And but that personal relationship with God, and I just said, Baba, I know nothing. Whatever happens now, nobody knows me, so I am not going to get insulted in front of the world. It's you, so it's about you. So you take care what has to happen. And it was an amazing experience. 30 minutes just flowed, and she was asking and I was answering, and she was asking and I was answering. And when I was answering, I was learning. So I was answering, but I didn't know those answers. So while it was happening, I was learning. And that day, in one day, we recorded 8 episodes. And we didn't know from where the content flowed. And after it was aired on television, it got a good response. I couldn't explain to people around me my experience of that day, that this is not me. I didn't know any of this. And everybody said, oh, good response, so let's record again. And I said, no, magic doesn't happen every time. It's a special experience. It can't repeat as if it's the done thing. They said, no, it'll happen again. I said, no, it won't happen again. Again, resistance. Then again, we did it. And again, the same experience. Then the third time, we thought, this is taking things too much for granted, so we should prepare something. So the third time, I prepared. Questions, answers, content, material, topic, prepared everything. And then when we sat on the chair, none of that came out in our conversations. So we said, okay, this is not our program. And now it's been 12 years. And even now, every time I sit on that chair to do that program, I still have that little thought, doubt, fear that Baba, please take over. We know nothing that's going to happen. And it's been a journey of that experience. But in those 12 years, I've got to learn a lot. So I learned a lot. So there's no practice in this, there's no preparation, there's nothing that I've done for it. It's just been Baba using for his work. He uses all of us. Each one of us is his instrument. And each one of us is playing different roles. And if you talk to all the sisters and brothers in this campus, or when you go down to Abu Road, you will get similar experiences from everybody, because all of us are doing things which we didn't know how to do. But just surrender and say, use me. And each one of us being is used in different ways. But all of us are just instruments, and God is using us for this seva. So I really don't know about the clarity and the simplicity, but simplicity is only because I understand it only that way. I wouldn't understand it in a more profound way. So just that, but no preparation or strategy for that.
So you're saying if any of us came up here and sat and said, okay, Baba, that out of our mouth would come that brilliant simplicity and clarity. What part of it is yours?
No part of it is mine.
No part of it?
No.
What part in your spiritual journey can you claim?
To be part of that seva, the only part I can say is I would sit with a silent intellect, not use my own intellect, not plan, not prepare, just sit silent and say use. So that much part is mine.
Were you complicated before?
I don't remember too much what I was like before, actually.
Okay.
I try very hard to think what all I have changed, but I've forgotten that part of my life.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, but I think I was quite complicated, definitely. And there's still more to sort out.
Yes.
Yeah, there's
You're
still
not
more to
perfect
sort
yet.
out.
Okay.
Yes, it's a journey. And like Sister was saying, have all your questions been answered? Don't expect questions to be answered in 1 week. This is the beginning of questions starting now, because it's an area of our life which we hadn't even ever looked at. So questions actually begin now, not finish. It's a study, it's a journey with questions and answers, but a beautiful relationship.
And it is true on the learning journey, if you're not asking questions, you're not learning anymore. But it's the quality of question in some ways. Am I looking to deepen and understand and have an experience? It brings me to some of the conversation has been, I think we all know, having seen you twice and maybe watched YouTube clips, I'm not sure, but always your message will come back to personal accountability. They're doing this, they're doing that. No matter how intense the description of that situation is, you will always bring it back to the personal. It's like the fundamental principle of Raj Yoga, which you always speak of. And some of it has been around, tell yourself, I am a peaceful soul, I am a powerful soul. What advice or what insight can you offer for those who say those words? You know, I am a peaceful soul, I am a powerful soul. But it becomes like a mantra, it becomes like an affirmation, and it doesn't quite stick. How do you make it stick?
Even if it becomes an affirmation will become a reality. It will become a reality. And when we come first day to learn Raj Yoga, we come with all our flaws, our impurities. And the first day, Baba says, I am a peaceful soul. And there's no peace here. They say, I am a peaceful soul. When we go out in the world today, people are saying, I am stressed. It's a very common line. I am stressed. Some people today are saying, I am depressed. Now, when we keep doing this affirmation, I am stressed, I am stressed, I am stressed, you are stressed, we are stressed, everyone is stressed. So when we keep repeating this affirmation, the stress levels in the world have gone much higher because we kept repeating this affirmation. Then some of us started saying, I'm depressed. Somebody opens the window and says, the weather is so depressing today. Every word that we use as a low vibration word, Every word is radiating energy and it's influencing reality. To begin with, just take this line: I am a peaceful soul. I am a powerful soul. I am a loveful soul. And most important, I'm connected to the powerhouse, the ocean of peace and love. Morning is for contemplation on these lines and affirmation. And during the day, just a little attention. That little attention during the day is needed, because in the morning when we meditate, it's like charging the phone. But we need to take care during the day that we keep charging it a little more. We don't keep depleting it with wrong karma. The most important thing, why personal responsibility? Because look at any situation in your life. Look at absolutely any situation. I'll share one experience of a sister who came from the US just a couple of months. And she shared her experience with me. And she said, 3 years back, I just switched on the television and this program happened to be on air. But the episode was about what if a family member dies, how to handle that situation. And she heard this episode about the soul moving on the journey. And if the family they leave behind cries and moans, then all that pain radiates to the soul who has moved on the journey. She saw that episode. She said, that day I decided, if anyone leaves in my family, I will not cry. She saw only 3 more episodes, so total 4 days. 5th day, her 21-year-old son died in an accident. And she said, my first thought when I got that information was, neither will I cry, neither will I allow anyone in my family to cry, because I do not want to radiate any pain to my child. And she immediately connected with the center in her city, Florida, and she invited the sisters and she said, please do 1 week meditation in my house. I don't want anyone to cry. And she did it. And neither did she cry, neither did she allow anyone else to cry. She said, we'll remember my son, but with a lot of love and peace. We will always remember him, but we will send only love, blessings, and peace, no pain. And she did this by just watching 3-4 days of a program. Just one decision that I will not give pain to my child. That's the power every soul has. That's the amount of power we have. She took personal responsibility of the situation, that how is she going to handle this crisis now. And she changed her destiny. She changed the destiny of her family. And she changed the destiny of the soul who has moved on, because she radiated so much power to that child. Today it's been 3 years. She travels all over the world and she goes and shares her experiences with families, and especially those who've lost young children, and she's helping them to heal themselves. This is how destiny can change. Just take responsibility that whatever may be the situation, I am the creator of the response. And then the gyan and the power creates the rest of the magic.
So just continue. Is it? Just continue.
We need to continue daily. Daily. Just continue the practice daily. And you're going to start seeing the difference within 1 or 2 months. But we need to do it daily. It's like eating daily, having a bath daily, exercising daily, meditation daily. Daily. For anything to create a result, discipline is most important. Whether it's a career decision, whether it's a health decision, it's always discipline and determination that I will do this daily will create magic.
Thank you. You speak about, I think the image that's very clear to me when you speak about God is that you sit, maybe not an empty vessel, a pure, positive, peaceful soul, but whose intellect is quiet, so that God can use the intellect, and then you speak words that are influenced by that. Many people have the experience of God being everywhere. Could you tell us a little bit about your relationship with God?
God is everywhere. God is inside everybody. God is omnipresent, is something we had heard and we have studied. Right from childhood, I think we were taught God is everywhere. But then we need to also contemplate, if God is everywhere and God is within everyone, then how would everyone be? How would everyone be? If God is within us, how would we be? We would be God-like, because God is inside me and God is inside you and you and you. Now with all our stresses and anxieties and anger and sorrow and pain, is that God inside me? All the crime that's happening in the world, all the wrong that some souls are doing, is it God inside them who is doing that? What is God inside them sitting and doing when they are doing all this? What is God doing? So when we said God is inside everyone, it was a way of teaching people to live a good life and say, don't hurt anybody, don't do wrong to anybody, respect everyone, treat everyone like God. God is in everybody. But when we start understanding it, we understand that this was more like a parent teaching like a little kid. Don't go out, it's dark, something will happen. It's like teaching a child. But God cannot really be inside everyone. If God was in everyone, then we would be perfect. Perfect. We could not have a single imperfect thought. But that's not happening. We have very rare perfect feelings and thoughts. So God's remembrance is inside everybody. A connection with God is inside every soul. Every soul has the same qualities like God. So that connection, the remembrance, the qualities, the powers of God are in everybody. But there is a difference between remembrance and qualities of God in everybody and God in everybody. Two things are completely different. It's like some children look very similar to their parents. You find a son or a daughter looking very similar to their parent. They're looking similar to the parent, but still parent is different from the child. They could look like the parent, they could talk and walk like the parent, they could behave like the parent, they could have the same talents, skills, qualities like the parent, but yet parent and child will be different. So same is with soul and God. Soul is in everybody, which means soul is in every body. The soul has the same qualities as God and the remembrance of God. But God cannot be in everybody. If God was in everybody, it would be paradise always, nothing but perfect. Relationship with God is like a relationship with any soul. How do we start developing a relationship with God? When we used to pray, we've all prayed. When we pray, we recite words which were taught to us as children. But some of us may have experienced that when we are praying, our mind is connected to people instead of God. Anyone experience that? You're thinking of someone else while you're praying? Ever experienced that? We are praying, but the mind is going to work, going home, going to children, and 10 minutes and my prayer is over. I was like, it's done. When we used to pray in school, it was a prayer every single morning. But while we were praying, we were thinking of the test on that day, the homework I haven't finished, what the teacher is going to say, and my 5 minutes of prayer would be over. So we were reciting the prayer verbally, but the mind was not always there. It would scatter. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it will go away. Because we had not experienced a personal relationship. God was more like a concept. God, a concept. Once you start experiencing a relationship, then we don't even need to take out time. Then you're in a relationship talking and conversing and experiencing Him always. But to begin that relationship, we need to spend time to connecting with Him. So the way I would do it is, begin your morning with the first good morning there. First thought, good morning. Nowadays, people send a lot of good mornings on social media. No, first thing in the morning, good morning to the world. Before saying good morning to the world, we say good morning there. So the first thought is a connection. Then the study, then the meditation, and now in the day-to-day activities, just before leaving home for the day. Sit for a minute in silence, connect, tell everything that you have planned for the day. Invite him to be with you throughout the day. Tell him everything that's scheduled for the day. During the day, keep sharing. This is what happened, this is what we're going to do next. So very soon, God is with you always. You will start feeling it, that God is with you, because it's a very natural companionship, a relationship where you are sharing everything, and the next experience that you will have is like you can get answers from people, you will start getting answers and touchings from God Himself. Like we have telepathy with people. Have you experienced telepathy with people? Yes? Physically, they are not there next to us. And yet we call them up and they call us up at the same time. It's a telepathy between two souls. We create a thought, energy travels there, they create a thought, they connect to us. If there can be telepathy between one soul and another soul, why can there not be telepathy between one soul and the Supreme Soul? Telepathy. Telepathy means we share, and telepathy means what he shares, we can catch. And that's what is Raj Yoga meditation, a very personal relationship. Not a one-way conversation, but a two-way conversation where we speaks, where he gives touchings and we get answers. So that's a relationship which cannot be talked about so much, but which needs to be experienced.
Very much.
It needs to be experienced. So give yourself a few months for that experience. It's certain, but that you will experience it. It's certain.
If you could describe your relationship with God with 2 words, what would they be?
2 words. Simple and beautiful.
Sweet.
Some relationships get very complicated
Simple
nowadays. So
and
it's simple
beautiful.
and beautiful.
Lovely. A reflection of the soul. This next question is about abuse of power. Some people say that God tests us. And in our morning class the other day, Denise Ben said, well, actually, God only gives us one test. He gives us power and then watches to see how we use it, which I thought was a very interesting thought, a very interesting idea. I think many of us are distressed and upset when we see abuse of power, in any level of society, in our homes, in our communities, politically, economically, etc. And so there's sort of 2 angles to the question. I'd like you to speak to both sides of it. It's that when we see others abusing power, but then, of course, the personal, you're in a position now where you are very well known. I watched you walk around the dining room and there was this little flock around you the whole time, So that's a form of power. I'm curious how you are keeping your relationship with the power that is coming through you, how you're keeping that clean. As advice to all of us from 2 sides of that coin, how to manage the power within me so I stay clean, but also then when I'm seeing. So it's all about abuse of power and use of power.
First and foremost, God gives us problems and tests is really not true. It's not true. That stems from that same belief that God has written my destiny. So whenever there's a challenge or a problem in our life, we say, God has given this challenge. And friends and family will say, oh, you are strong, so God gave it to you. You see, we're repeating that affirmation that God is giving us these problems. Why would God give us problems? Why would God give us problems? Would you give problems to your children? Would you give problems to your children? Would you give challenges to your children? No.
Not intentionally.
Not intentionally. And that's why that belief system of God writing my destiny, God putting all these obstacles in my life, actually does not allow us to create a very beautiful relationship with God. There was a brother who came to the center and he said, I hate God. I said, what happened? He had lost 5 members of his family in an accident. 1 car accident, parents, sister, wife, and 5-year-old son. And he said, the first thing I did when I went home, all the pictures that he had in his house of God, he put them on the floor and he stamped them like that. I hate God, because everybody said it was God's will. And that is what happens when we are in trouble, any kind of crisis, and because we believe God has given us this problem, we actually say, why did God give this to me? And distance ourselves from God instead of coming closer to God. So everything that's coming in my life is a consequence of my karma. And most of the things in our life are beautiful. The fact that we're sitting here in a healthy body, beautiful karma we've done for that. The fact that our minds are normal and happy in a world where 30% of the people are experiencing depression, so we've done great karma for that. The fact that we chose to take out 1 week and travel all the way for a spiritual retreat talks of very elevated karma. So we've done amazing, beautiful karmas. Somewhere, some mistakes. But when all the return of the beautiful karmas come to us, we don't question it. Why did this happen to me? But when something is little not right, we say, why did this happen to me? But at that time, instead of saying, God has given this to me, when I remember, okay, this is a consequence of my karma, but now I have God with me and God's knowledge and power with me to be able to face this consequence. And so that consequence or that destiny starts seeming very, very small. The problem is very, very small because now we start using God's knowledge and power to face the situation. So let's not say God has given us this problem because it really distances us from Him. Then God sounds like some who gets some fun into giving us these problems and sits up there and starts watching us solving all those problems. It's not like that. It's the parent, supreme parent, unconditional love and acceptance cannot give us problems, can only give us power, blessings, love, and support. So it's a return of my karmic account, and I will face it with God's strength. It's going to become very simple. When we see people misusing power, and that's why we saw this morning, the 7th power is very important, the power to face, which means stand up for what is right. But the way to stand up needs to be checked. Sometimes we are creating aggression when we are confronting something which is not right. We are using methods which are creating more unrest. So if I want to resolve unrest, then I cannot create unrest to resolve another unrest. The method has to be with peace and patience, but to not endorse what is not right and to stand against it always. But Raj Yoga, for me, I have believed, has given me so much strength that I'm ready to stand alone today against the world. I know I have that strength today. I can stand alone today against anybody. Because with spiritual power, you don't fear losing anything. We cannot stand up for the right only because we fear losing something. When you know you're a soul on a journey and attachments are over, you don't fear losing anything. And when there's nothing to lose, then standing up for the right becomes very easy. Because one addiction which goes away is people should approve of me, people should accept me. When that's over, you're ready to stand against anyone who's not doing something right. And that's something which the world needs right now. We really need it right now. When it comes to me as power, I don't feel I have any kind of power. Power is only over the self, not with people. With people, it is only a humbling experience every time. This journey has helped me to increase my humility.
Yes, I can see that in you, actually.
Because every time you see how God can use you and touch people's lives, and it's like, we're so insignificant, and how He can use us to create magic like this, so that makes me more grounded.
So perhaps the question is more about how not to abuse a position that has come, and that is by remaining an instrument.
One, instrument, and second, your identity is not your position. Our roles and position, when they become our identity, then we behave out of role consciousness and position consciousness. Role and position is only what I'm doing, but the actor is the pure divine soul. So whether you are a parent to a child, whether you are a senior of an organization, you're playing the role out of the quality of the soul. So when you're playing the role out of the quality of the soul, the qualities of purity and humility and love and compassion will come in every role.
So although others may see a position, you don't see a position for yourself.
Position for myself?
Yeah, you don't see what you're doing through that lens.
Because you're not living in position consciousness. It's a very interesting experience. All of us can do this. If you are in the consciousness of your position, the vibration you radiate to the other person will also make them conscious of their position. So it's a position connecting with another position. It's a role connecting with another role. But if you are in the consciousness, I am a soul talking to another soul. It doesn't matter what position, what. I've met many of you in the last 2 days, but I don't know what they're doing in their life because I didn't ask anybody. Because it doesn't matter what role and position you're playing. The beautiful part is that we're all connecting, the soul connecting to another soul. When it's position connecting to position, it's an ego connection. It's an ego connection. But when it's a soul connecting to another soul, then there's only purity and humility which will flow. And that's what makes our relationships very beautiful. Then there's no one superior to you, and there is no one inferior to you. Everyone is the same. I don't know whether you noticed here at the Brahma Kumaris, we use only our first names. We don't have second names here. So I will be like BK Shivani. So nobody knows my second name. Because in a country like India, where we have a lot of castes and a lot of states, with every state our culture is changing, our language is changing. So then when we know each other's surnames, we tend to get divided. Oh, you're from Gujarat, you're from Punjab, you're from here, you're from here. So we do you not use our surnames, it's only names, which means no barriers. No barriers. We're all souls, part of one family, children of one God. And so it's a soul-to-soul connection, not a position to position, role to role. And when you go back, you can experiment this. Walk into your office, whether you're connecting with someone who's playing a role junior to you, or you're connecting with someone who's playing a role senior to you, just go and meet them with the consciousness, I'm a soul talking to another soul. They will also change their consciousness. The one who's feeling senior to you will suddenly start feeling equal, and the one who is feeling inferior to you will suddenly start feeling equal because you are feeling that you are equal to them. And that changes relationships.
And when the insecurity that's caused by position consciousness is not there, then there's natural, easy relationship.
Because there's nothing to lose. Because we're no more a position. Our identity is not our position. Our identity is who we are. Position is just a role we play. One today, tomorrow it may change. It's when we make position our identity and then we get attached to that position, then there's always a fear of losing it. And then that's where the insecurity comes in.
I don't remember when it was that Daddy Janki said this. Maybe 5, 10 years ago, she said, I'm not a BK. Do you remember that? And it was a bit of a shock. I'm not a Brahma Kumari. And it was such a great wake-up call for me, who had, until that time, I had been thinking of myself as a Brahma Kumari. And as soon as she said that, I realized, oh, that's just another identity. I'm not that either.
Every time we have some label as our identity, we are moving away from our true identity. We make our nationality our identity. So suppose before understanding I am a soul, I would say I am an Indian. So when I say I am an Indian, I have made my nationality my identity. Then the next I will say I am a Hindu. So then I make the religion practice of my family my identity. Then I will say, I am an engineer. So then I will go and make my profession, my identity. And so many things become our identity that we forget our original identity. Now it's very clear, I am a pure soul, daughter to someone, sister to someone, profession being an engineer, playing the role of seva, and belong to the nation of India. Religion at home is Hinduism, very clear, but none of them are my identity. They're all there, but they're not my identity. So nothing to lose. And when there's nothing to lose, a soul becomes very comfortable, very secure, and makes other people very comfortable. So that is a soul-to-soul connection. So when Dadi said, I'm not a BK, she was teaching all of us that you left all your other labels and now you've gone and suddenly put another label onto yourself that I am a BK, and now you're living through that label. So remove that label also and just remember I am a pure soul.
Thank you. So far, so good? Yes? Okay. All right, we have about time, I think, for 2 more questions. This one is about time. Many of us feel either pressured by time or like we're racing after time. There's never enough time. And even thinking about taking this practice back home in a regular way, many, I think, of us will feel like, oh, the obstacle is I don't have time. You are occupied pretty much all the time. I will not say you're busy, but your schedule is very, very full. And yet you are very relaxed, and you seem to glide in and out of rooms, and you arrived here before all of us on the last 2 sessions. So you're very accurate with time. Could you explain to us a little bit about your relationship with time?
Let's remove 2 words from our vocabulary. I'm very busy. And second, I have no time. I have no time for myself. I have no time for my family. I have no time to do what I want to do. Repeated affirmation. Repeated affirmation is creating an energy of lack in our life. And replace it with, I'm very easy. Can we replace the word busy with easy? Yes? Because the word we use will be the energy we create, and the energy we create will be the reality that becomes. So 1, I'm very easy will be our vocabulary, and second, I have lot of time. Let's say it together. I'm very easy. Feel it and say it. I'm very easy. I have lot of time. I have more time than I need. I have 1 hour for myself every day. Everyone didn't say that. We need to say it together. What we think, what we say, is what becomes a reality. We can create a very beautiful relationship with time. Time is also an energy, and we create a relationship. If we respect time, we value time, then time also respects us and values us. 1, when we keep saying, I don't have time, we're creating a resistance with time, as if time and me are not in harmony. We don't get along very well. We're always racing against each other instead of being together with each other. So we don't start using these 2 words are over. I'm busy, I don't have time. I'm easy, I have lot of time. Initially, when I started saying this, my mistake, I would say, no, I'm very busy. And then I had to stop, rewind the line, undo it, and say, no, I'm not, I'm very easy. I've reached a stage where I can say, come what may, even if I'm working 20 hours of the day, I will not use that word because that word is not a part of my vocabulary anymore. It'll just not come. It just takes a few days to change vocabulary and change our mindset. So we can say, I'm occupied, but we will never say, I'm busy, I don't have time. Second, create a relationship with time in terms of being everywhere before time. Just go everywhere before time so that you're not ever hurried with time. You're always very comfortable with time. So when we reach everywhere before time, we take time to prepare our mind for what we are going to do. So whether it's for a program, whether it's for a meeting, whether it's for our day-to-day work, make it a point to reach everywhere before time and never, ever, ever late. Never. Never. Because if we are late, we've disrespected someone else's time. And if I disrespect someone else's time, I'm not creating a beautiful relationship with time. So always before time, always spend some time in silence before we start doing what we are doing. And when we create a thought, I have a lot of time, give yourself the time that I will complete this task in this much time, and create a thought, I will complete this before time. Mostly our vocabulary is contradictory to this. I don't have enough time. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to complete this. I don't think I can finish this. Every line is not in harmony with us. And because we say those lines so often, they start becoming a reality. Let's create a beautiful relationship with time. Value your time, but more important, value other people's time. When we start valuing other people's time, then time starts valuing and respecting us. So if we have asked somebody to come for an appointment, we should be there before them. People should not have to wait for us. We will wait for people. And we will use that time to meditate and prepare ourselves for the meeting. So gradually, you will find yourself very comfortable with time. And you will then start experiencing, I really have more time than I need. Because it's the mind which will be easy. It's not about the number of hours we have, it's about the attitude within. We may all have met people, some people have a lot of money, but they believe they don't have enough. And some have just enough, but they believe they have a lot. So the attitude is not dependent on how much we have. The attitude is all dependent here. So do I live with an attitude of lack, that I don't have enough, or do I live with an attitude of abundance? Abundance. I have enough time, I have enough money, enough resources, I have more than I need of everything. Just say that, believe that, feel that, radiate that, and make that your reality. So spirituality starts changing our vocabulary. So when we start listening to the Murli daily, the vocabulary starts changing and destiny starts changing then. So when we return from here, we all have that 1 hour. We all have that 1 hour. It's like exercise. If I exercise, I will be healthy. If I will be healthy, I will complete my tasks faster than usual. But I will have to take out that 1 hour to exercise. So initially when I take out that 1 hour, it feels like we are taking out an hour. But after some time, we're going to have more time than we need. So it's just that initial first 1 or 2 months where that investment needs to be made. After that, if you see all your companions, if you go back to the center and you see brothers and sisters, they're all working, they're taking care of their family. They are the same people who few years earlier said we don't have time. Today they have time to take care of their families, to go to work, and apart from that, look after the center. So now they have time even for strangers. They are the same people who said we didn't have time for family. Today they are ready to be here with you for a week. They are here for strangers because now we have a lot of time. After taking out 1 hour of time for ourselves, we have a lot of time.
That's so true, isn't it? Yeah, these ones that are here do manage jobs and everything else. I remember having little children that never got to school on time and using this practice. Oh, don't worry, we have oodles of time, I would say. And somehow in 4 minutes we would get to school on time. So it's an interesting practice. Okay, the final question, because our film crew is here. People are leaving from here, and you've already given many practical tips about how to integrate this into your life practically. But if you could offer some words of reassurance, because already I have seen in the first few days the magic, the swelling, and then already people are starting to feel a little, oh, not so easy, a little bump, a little dip in the road. So any reassurance you would offer people about going back to your places where maybe the family or the workplace isn't so interested or supportive of this, and in spite of knowing what I should do, would like to do really to integrate this, hitting those very practical barriers. Just a word of reassurance as people leave here. And maybe some are still on the high stage, but I know some have also hit a little dip already in their journey.
Taking out this 1 week to be here, all the programs that happened on the stage here could have happened in our cities and countries. But we didn't arrange the program there, we invited you here. What's the reason to invite you here? So that you see a practical model. That's spirituality in action, how it works. For you, this is like a retreat center which is very calm, very peaceful. But for the brothers and sisters who live here, this is their workplace. And this is a workplace where they work 7 days a week. There is no concept of a Sunday, Saturday here. 7 days a week, the brothers and sisters who stay here, their day starts at 3:30 in the morning and the day ends not before 10:30 in the night. 24/7, they have to live with each other. There's no concept of going back to family. And they are not related to each other. They've all come from different backgrounds. So 24/7, 365 days of the year, living with people who are not family, not being paid for it, no promotion, no hierarchy, no one monitoring you, and you are self-motivating yourself every single day, even to do ordinary things like just peel the vegetables for 50 years, or clean your rooms for 50 years, or just come here and put this. The brother who comes here and puts the mic here for me, he's been doing it for years that I've seen him. What is so motivating about coming and putting a mic every 1 hour on the stage? And yet you wouldn't find many people as happy as he is. So it's nothing to do with what we are doing. It's not to do with our roles. And yet at the same time, living with 200 people, 200 young boys, young brothers, not related to each other, is not that simple also. We are just 2 or 3 or 4 people living at home. They are 200 living here together. And they don't even get to go home in the evening, so they're living with each other 24 hours. There will be differences. They are not identical. Their opinions differ, their behaviors differ, their ideas differ. There's a lot of adjustment that has to happen. There's a lot of letting go of your ideas, letting go of what you believe is right, adapting with other people. There's no position, no one is senior, and yet you're listening to them. There is no other place where so much of adjustment has to happen, the amount I've seen over here. And yet people think, oh, this is an ashram, living here would be very easy. Compared to living here, living at home is very simple. It's very simple. Being at work is very simple, where you have to just go for 8 to 10 hours, you're getting paid for your work, your role is very clear, your junior knows that they have to listen to you. things are very sorted. So you've actually been in a place which is tougher to be than the outside world. It's much, much tougher to live over here. And yet you've seen the vibrations. 200 people living 24 by 7 together, and you can experience peace and calm. This is the model which gave me the inspiration. If they can live here and do this, I can create the same energy in my house. Because there's something here which works. Now all that I need to do is go back and experiment with that, with what they did, and now make that a reality in my life. Whether it's in my house or it's in my office, I need to make that a reality. So what do these 200 people do? Morning meditation and study class. That's it. Rest of the day, they are working. They are working. They have no Christmas, no New Year, no Sunday, no birthday, nothing. They are working 365 days, and yet you can feel so much peace and tranquility. So don't you think we can create the same energy back in home and office? Can we create the same energy back there? Yes. So the only thing we learn from them and go back is 1 hour for myself. Don't think too much about it. How will it happen? Will it happen? Will it work? Just take it back as a 3-month experiment. I will experiment with this lifestyle. If it works for me, I continue. If it doesn't work for me, it doesn't take time to go back to being my old self. That's very simple. But let me give myself 3 months as an experiment. And 3 months, just surrender to God and say, I give 3 months to you. Use me, teach me, let me experience you. If I experience you, I continue. If I don't, bye-bye. Simple. That was my deal. If I experience, fine. If I don't, over. I cannot continue more than 3 months. But then that's it. That's why spirituality is science. You experiment, you experience. When you experience, it becomes your truth. What you have heard in the last 1 week are someone else's experiences. Their experiences will be different from your experiences, but your experience will come only after you experiment. So just give yourself those few days of experimenting. But then those 3 months should be sincere. Sincere. Doing it like a student, everything accurately. And you will see how life will take a complete change. Complete change. And then, when one person does it in the family, initially, family is not very comfortable. Some families even press the panic button. Oh, where is this person going? What will happen? Will they change? Will they continue to being the one they used to be? No, you will not continue being the one you used to be, but you're going to be a much more elevated version of what you were being. Earlier, there was love, but there was also hurt. Now there will be unconditional love for family. There will be unconditional acceptance and compassion. You will not stand on the seeking side from family and friends because your getting is going to get completed here. I get from him and I only give. Every family needs one giver. Every office needs one giver because most of the others are standing in this line. I want love, I want respect, I want trust, and you're going to go back as a giver. And once you go back as a giver, you will empower others to become a giver. Because you're going to give them, empower them, and they will become a giver. So don't think too much. Don't think too much. Just jump into the swimming pool. Just jump into the swimming pool and then enjoy the swim. And if we stand outside and we keep thinking, then we miss the experience. So let's jump into the swimming pool.
Thank you. Thank you so much. From the heart.
Let's take a moment of silence. And there's a very beautiful experience for us after this, but after a minute of silence. Just sit back, comfortable. A moment of gratitude. Gratitude to God to my beautiful karmas, to the brother and sister who invited me to be here,